Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. We are going to be connecting with Noelle today. No, I really mean that. That's the name of her business, connectingwithnoelle.com. She is a psychic medium. Also, I find this very interesting. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of California. Blends a lot there and also gives you insight on your life based on those that have passed over. We're going to talk about getting past those blocks that don't allow you to see what you should be seeing and really interpreting it and really internalizing it as well. Noelle, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve. How are you?
Fantastic. Let's get some business out of the way. First off, if you want to reach us, instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. Okay. You can try us also at 631-319-6275. We also have a quick disclaimer,
which is the information presented on the podcast is educational in nature and is provided only as general information and is not medical or psychological advice, nor is it a substitute for seeking licensed healthcare services.
All right. So do you believe the people that you work with, you connect with, your clients, have blocks up about a lot of this stuff? They're not fully open to receiving what is coming their way in terms of messages.
So there's like an openness and then there's an awareness. So you can be, I think, closed off in certain ways, but looking for signs. I think there's a level of trust that comes with being open. I can understand feeling intimidated by the idea of, quote, being open, because you might be afraid, like, what am I actually being open to? Mm-hmm. Like whom? Let's say negative energies or dark stuff. I was just talking to somebody the other day who was, I think, scared by other mediums about having like a family curse and things like that. Those were some of the tactics that were used to intimidate me into buying services that I couldn't really afford way back in the day. So I'm very hesitant when I hear that kind of thing. But a lot of who we connect with and who we're open to, we have to set our intention. And often nothing else actually comes in. Like right now, I have the house to myself, and there are times when I'll get a visual of something that's a little bit creepy to me or something like that. And then I recognize that there are things to do to feel safe. But there's not much that comes into our spaces that is that we don't want to interact with. I don't think I said that quite right, but anyway, it can sound scary, but it's really not scary.
Well,
and it's not meant to be.
It reminds me of hypnotherapy. And many are afraid to do hypnotherapy because, the hypnotist is going to control my mind, and I'm going to give up this sensitive information. No, you won't unless you want to. Nobody can control your mind. But let's now pivot over to somebody who's a medium, where people might put up blocks because they're afraid that somebody will be able to pull up some information, or maybe they'll hear something that they don't want to hear. I can totally see that. That somebody might have that fear, right?
That's a beautiful analogy. I actually had taken a hypnosis workshop years ago, teaching you how to do it. And I realized that, your actual will about things, let's say your ethical monitor of yourself, can't really be violated by hypnosis. It's not like your brain, your consciousness is completely shut off. You're just in such a relaxed state that things can flow. And that's kind of the goal in some ways of when we're connecting with our loved ones. In my world, I have to be very relaxed and open. And just a couple of tips I'd like to share, because I've been sitting with trying to articulate it a bit better, is you can't really be thinking about stuff. So sometimes doing mindless activities like walking or, any kind of exercise, or if you're good at meditating and you're good at clearing your mind, then that can be really helpful. Maybe you can write. I usually will, if I have anything on my mind, I'll journal, I'll make a to-do list. But you have to be pretty clear-minded. Now, I'm just getting over COVID and had some like additional brain fog, and that actually made it really hard for me to do mediumship for the last couple of weeks. I tried the other day, I had to stop halfway through a session, which is very unusual for me. It just,
Wow.
something was being blocked. But this was really interesting. So I have White Feather, somebody that has been connecting with me, somebody whose spirit is on the other side. And normally I hear a song, and I was feeling a sensation in my left shoulder blade for the last couple of days when I was sitting in this chair. And when I checked in, I got that it was her. And what I became aware of is that she's working around how I'm able to receive and be aware of her presence instead of
Her,
just being blocked that I couldn't hear the song she usually plays.
her being who?
Sorry, White Feather. I wasn't sure if I talked about her here. So this is somebody that came to me as I was falling asleep one night and shared with me that she had been a daughter in a previous life. I know this is kind of super woo to talk about, but a lot of us believe in reincarnation, and we have different players in different iterations of lives. And apparently she planned on coming in to help me do some of the work that I'm starting to do now. So she shows up, and she's given me little flashes to our life, our past life together. And usually she plays, what's the song?
Give me
Something about
anything.
dancing. Damn it.
It's so many. Okay.
There are so many.
If you give me even a little something to get, give me the decade. Is a female singer, the type of genre.
70s?
70s? Okay.
70s.
Female.
And oh, I love music. I love music. I think it's
Oh,
the OJs.
the OJs. I Love
Yeah.
Music, 1973.
Oh, thank you. You're like Google.
I love that song. It's a great
I
song.
love that. It's a
Yeah.
great song.
Actually, I think it was a little bit later than that. It was probably around the 75, 76, right around there, because they did Love Train before that, and
Mhm.
Backstabbers definitely 72. That one came after, when disco was just merging, if you will. Um,
Yes.
yeah, it's funny you should say that song, because it's weird how things drop in your mind. I was working in the Caribbean um, 3 years ago and met some gentleman named Steve from the UK. He was hanging out there with his wife in the pool, and we got to talking about music and our love of it. And that song came on. He goes, "I love this song. It's a great song. I love it." And I'm like, "I do too. Isn't that weird?" But I remember that because you just said that. Like, it's strange how things pop in. So this White Feather, I think you said, would this be a spirit guide that has come into your world and gives you insight? Who would this be?
That's a great question. I could look at her as a guide. My feelings, like my emotional feelings when I connect with her, given what she's shown me, is I do actually feel motherly towards her. Now I have a stepchild, but I didn't have my own children in this life and wanted them. And I feel like part of why she's come in is to help satisfy that, like, actually, you were a mother and you were a good mother. And I promised that I would help you deal with, apparently, in that life, there was a lot of inappropriate things that happened to me, and I protected her from those things. But she saw the effect on me of them. And so there was a promise that she made to help me. I'm not sure exactly what the work is that we're going to do together in this life, but I do feel her almost every day, except when I had COVID. I wasn't, but I would hear that song and I'd be like, oh,
Hmm.
hello, baby, which is what I'm supposed to be calling. It feels right to call her. And we would just have a moment together. Um,
Would
and then
she be? I want to understand this better, so I'm going
please,
to
sorry,
dissect it, because
I don't,
no,
and I'm
no,
not
no,
trying
no,
to be
no.
vague. Yeah.
But you're not. But you're not.
Okay,
I'm
good.
just
Okay.
I'm going a little bit deeper, because maybe others are sensing the presence of something, someone,
Thank
and
you. Yeah.
trying to make sense of it. Would you would you say that the white feather um, represents, or is a representation of, a child that
Hmm.
could have been to you?
Absolutely. And
Hmm.
you know, when people, and I understand why you would ask about her being like a guide, and I may have a little rigidity in my thinking about things because when I think of a guide, I think of somebody in spirit who is with us like our whole lifetime. But actually, that's not necessarily how guides work, from what I understand. Some are with us this entire life. They kind of sign up for us, period. And then there are times when we're growing through something new or doing something new, and then a different guide or teacher can come in to support us during that chunk of time. And that's my experience of her is she feels new to me in showing up and how she plays this music and even the connection I feel with her. And she's going to be around for as long as she's around versus let's say my other guides that I connect with whose energy just feels very different and often feel kind of male to me.
Hmm.
I just think there's a lot going on and I can't like I think that when people in spirit want us to see them and notice them, they can make themselves available in that way, like noticeable, like playing music, giving us a physical sensation, even just feeling their presence in the room. There are so many ways that people show up for us that are in spirit that we can be so unaware of because we just think, oh, I've just got this earworm of this song.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
if you're hearing a song, I mean, especially like you're a great example, your just love and passion for music, it would be easy for anybody in spirit to come to you and show themselves through music in your head, or you talked about live music that you came upon, and they use what will work for us.
What's
So a
relevant?
lot of times, sorry?
What's relevant to you? So it could be
Yeah.
somebody who loves movies, and they could be scrolling through and movie arguments. It started playing by itself. What if maybe there's a message there
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
someone if they're into movies.
Yeah. Or physical, some people are, you know, I feel a lot of physical sensations from people in spirit. So that's another way to be
Hmm.
connected. But even just suspecting that somebody that you know and love that loves you is around might be enough information for you to say, well, let me just kind of check this out and see. And
Hmm.
spend some time getting quiet. Try not to think, but try to just be open to information coming to you or a song just starts playing in your head. You have to be kind of discerning, like you see what you feel and experience now, let's say in this moment, and then you set your intention to be connected, be open to be connected, and then see what changes. So you may suddenly feel your left knee aching, or you have this song coming in, or you feel this rubbing sensation. Part of it is just, it's very, very subtle,
Hmm.
but it's just being observant and having some suspended disbelief. Because you might think, well, you know, Noelle can do blah, 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 and plenty of other people can, but I'm just not built that way. But that may not be true.
Totally
And I
get it.
think, yeah,
Because you've said before that we have a level of an intuitiveness, some of us more than others. Maybe they're able to block other things out and receive things. The music thing, I'd like to share something with you, and it's
please.
bizarre, but I experienced it today. And I don't want you to think I have an ego. I am the most humble person on the planet. But I woke up today and got a good night's sleep and like firing on all cylinders. Like, yeah, I got that taken care of. That I've got I'm going to work on that. I need to move that forward. Just, powering
Hmm.
through. Was at the gym and put on just randomly The Doors Touch Me. Now, when I was younger, I hated that song. I thought Jim Morrison sounded like Frank Sinatra. Well, touch me, babe. I'm like, "Ugh." I have appreciation for it. And along the way, I would, want to connect that with somebody who I'm involved with. Well, I'm going to love you till the stars fall from the sky. I listened to it today while I was at the gym. That song was a song to me, from me, because you need to love yourself.
Hmm.
And that's where I was at. I was like, you know what? I'm actually okay. Like that was sent to me. And that's what I was feeling this like elation, like, yeah, cool. Yeah, we're good here. We're good here.
Hmm.
But I never felt that before. And I never looked at it in that way.
Hmm.
So I feel that that song was sent to me for a reason. Like, yeah, look at the words. It doesn't have to be for somebody. It's for you. Accept it for what it is. It was a strange feeling out of nowhere. It's like, well, that's odd. All right, I'll take that. Whoever sent that, I don't know where that came from. But there's whatever messages you want to get from music. They're there for a reason if you interpret them and you find a way to interpret them.
Yeah. And I can, like, just as you were sharing that, I can feel the emotion of that because it is such a validating message. And yeah, I often will assume that what I get, let's say a song is for somebody else. And then I have to remember occasionally, like, oh, wait, that actually is for me. Is that for me? Oh, and then I
Right.
use my muscle testing or energy testing. And then I get, oh,
Mm.
that actually is for me. So let me sit with this for a moment. And I'm also trying to be more curious, like asking, like, why am I getting this now? It sounds like you had this moment of reflection and you
Yeah.
really got like, oh, right, this is how I'm supposed to love myself.
Right. Which we're supposed
Yeah,
to. You know,
we
it
are.
sounds like a cliche, but when you really figure it out, um,
Yeah.
it comes clearer, how that all supposed to work. Um, it's the feeling. I had a certain feeling. It wasn't just me looking for something. It was like,
Mhm.
oh, huh, hey, I get it now. All right, back to the workout. Um, things drop out of the sky. I'm still wrestling with the OJs from the 70s and I Love Music and why that song
I
for
actually
you.
asked her. I asked her when
Oh,
the first time we connected, and what she showed me that and not trying to appropriate here, but I'm just going by what I was shown,
sure.
was that we were Native people together in this previous life together. And I was shown her dancing and
Okay.
that we had this love of music and that I had taught her that love of music and that we would dance together. And there was a lot of safety in our relationship. We were very connected with each other. And that's why my understanding was that I gave her that love of music and dancing. And that's why she brings that song. I don't always think to be curious. I'm trying to remember to be more curious,
Hmm.
like just recently, because you're right, there's a lot of deeper information. And
It-
it's not good
yeah.
to assume because you just don't know why things are coming,
Yep.
and who they're coming from.
Once you start, not that you want to overanalyze things, but
Yeah.
when you start just looking at it a little deeper, things do come to you. And I'm not looking for stuff. It just shows up. I'm just, just floating through. And when things are there, it's like you look at it in a certain way, but there's no denying it. Many things when you put the pieces together.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do stay in some denial that they're getting information. You're in a place in your life from what you've shared with all of us where you're not questioning, like, nah, that can't be a message kind of thing.
I
But
agree.
I had this experience of trying to understand, how do I know when it's a message versus it's something I thought of? And what occurred to me was exactly how you're saying, something just kind of drops out of the sky and it's a message. But when we think, we go from, like point A to B to C to D, like you're just kind of bouncing off of different ideas, then you come to a conclusion. But if something just like drops in, that can
Yeah.
be an easy way to be like, well, okay, I wasn't even thinking that. I'm not
Yes.
making that up. And and suspend the disbelief that all of us have that I used to think, well, I'm not special enough to get messages. Like nobody's trying to talk to me. But we all have these spiritual teams. We all have
Hmm.
people, ancestors, loved ones that we did know in this life that are around us that want to be in touch with us, especially when we're paying attention. So being open and noticing things, that's the key.
And is it reasonable to ask, like your spirit team, send me a sign
Mhm.
about this? Um, Give me clarity on this. Just ask.
It's surprising the things that show up. I was asking for somebody to help me do a project that I wanted to work on, and like the next day, somebody got in touch with me and I wasn't even thinking, oh, this would be a good person to do this project with. And then it occurred to me later, like, oh my goodness, I was just asking, thank you. I'll try to ask when I journal, if I'm journaling at night, like, hey, please help me see how to create this or how to do this project, because I'm feeling guided to do the project. Now I'm asking, okay, you got to give me some other help here. Yeah. There's so
Hmm.
much more than any of us realize. I mean, even though I'm pretty in touch, I know there's way more than I'm aware of. It's a huge rabbit hole that we could dive into only to the degree that we want to. And I don't think we can really get lost in it because we're hopefully being grounded about exploring. But there's so much to explore. And with that in mind, I actually wanted to offer 2 free channeled coaching sessions to our listeners. If you want to email me, and my business is called Connecting with Noelle, but it was actually meant to be like connecting with Noelle, not for people to connect with me, but together we would connect with their teams and their people.
Sure.
And channeled coaching is basically mediumship, but with the intention of helping people understand how to connect more for themselves, or that their loved ones can say, well, hey, I keep doing this. I know she's feeling it. She's just not putting it together, but it's me, kind of thing. And I would love to offer 2 of those sessions to any of our listeners. Please do email me at connectingwithnoelle@gmail.com. But the caveat is I would like people to be willing to come on our show and talk about it and
Sure.
what they learned and what they're able to do or be aware of afterwards. I would
I
love
have,
that.
we have something, just a couple of minutes left here. So let me get right to this. Gina, Searsport, Maine, instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. She says, I appreciate your topic. Have there been people you can't connect with?
Yes. Yes. When somebody approaches me to do a reading with one of their loved ones, I use my energy testing like the moment they reach out to me. When I'm communicating with them, I offer a consultation. But that's also my way of getting a feel for the person who's living as well as who they want to connect with, and also giving them a chance to feel me out. But there are times when I've come up with nothing. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And then there are some people in spirit that we totally hit it off and I wish to hang out with them more, or sometimes do. It might sound weird, but anyway. But
Hmm.
yes, that is very true.
I would imagine that you can't connect with everybody
Yeah.
because it may not necessarily be you. They may not be open to
Yeah.
it. But it's interesting. I've witnessed some of the most skeptical people are the most fun to connect for. Like the husband and wife that show up, and then he's like, "Rah, rah," and he's just sitting here like this, and then a half hour later, he's bawling like a baby because of the connections that were made, and he can't deny it. The validation was there. That's it. That there it is. Um, I love the fact that you have this mediumship ability, but you're also a licensed therapist. So you're able to help somebody navigate through maybe what came through and understand it and apply it to their life. Uh, so it's like a 360 package as opposed to nothing wrong with just somebody who's a medium. Here's what I
Yeah.
got for you. There you go. And if we validated it, you go, okay, fantastic. And then you leave it be. If somebody needs a little bit more, you're there to help them and support them as well. So it's like you're a beautiful package.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's very lovely how you just said that. I appreciate that. And I really do appreciate my training and my experience because listening is a huge part of being a medium. Listening to the client and what they are or aren't looking for, as well as listening to the person in spirit who's coming through. And there have been times, and I don't like necessarily outwardly offer it, but there are times I've had to do what feels like a mediation during mediumship of some difficult characters in spirit and
Wow.
how they're coming across. It's really just come up with a couple of friends and people that I know, and I'm feeling maybe a little protective, but you
I never
know,
thought of that. I never
oof.
thought, you could have somebody who passed away that there was some rifts involved. Now they're coming through again, whether they're trying to make amends or not, whatever. But now you have it like you're in the middle. Yeah, medium in the middle. Wow. Never thought of that. Oh, that can be maybe a little uncomfortable. depending on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice that I feel comfortable being more assertive in certain ways when that comes up. And it would only be under special circumstances I would even do that. Because normally I'm just trying to be the clearest, not interpreter, but like channel.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to add anything to the reading. I'm trying not to take away anything. But sometimes something just pings me a certain way. And as a therapist, I'm like, hold on a moment.
Right. Well, you initially are the messenger, not to use a cliche, but that's essentially what it sounds like.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
then if you need to, change hats to the therapy side, sometimes that's needed, to understand and maybe get clarity. Best way to reach you is your website, right?
Yes, connectingwithnoelle.com. And if you want to join my mailing list to find out when I'm offering classes or other things like that, please feel free to sign up through my website. And again, you can reach me directly through email at connectingwithnoelle@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. Also, if there are questions or things you want us to talk about on the show, please do let us know. We would love to.
Noelle is Noelle. Just be clear on that so we're able to find you. Thank you so much for being here again today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Steve.
We'll talk soon. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.